Hey guys, today I'm making a new video tutorial on React class components and functional components. You can use the online code sandbox in case you cannot write this code on your machine. If you can write the code on your machine, you can download the resource materials from here. I'm gonna add a link in the video description for that, as well as for the code sandbox that you can use for coding online. So for this tutorial, I'm gonna go ahead and do the development on my local machine. I'm gonna open the project with Visual Studio Code and start from here. So I'm gonna start with the class component. I'm gonna create a React component which extends the React component class. Okay. And the default method that this class requires is the render method. This method allows us to return some HTML that can be edited from the underlying code that we're gonna be using within our component. For now, I'm just gonna return a simple div element, and I'm just gonna add a bit of styling so you can see the difference between the components that we're gonna create for this tutorial. So I'm gonna have a background color, red, and I'm gonna set the text color to white. Okay, this is JSX syntax. That's what React is using for rendering HTML, but you can use normal JavaScript as well, which is creating element using the document API. So I'm just gonna say here, I am a class component. Okay, actually I'm gonna rename this component to class component so it's more suggestive. And I'm gonna create a functional component. So I just need to type function, the name of the component, which will be functional component. And then I will use the same syntax for JSX, which is which means I'm just gonna copy paste and change some things here, like I am a functional component, and I will change the background color to green. You can also use JavaScript arrow functions, such as we can have const arrow functional component. So I'm gonna return something similar to the functional component. Just gonna say, let's say background color yellow, and text color would be black, and I'm just gonna call it an arrow functional component, and we're gonna try to render all these components that we created inside the component app component, which is the main entry point for our single page application. Okay, so we're gonna add class component. Also, I want you to notice that all my components start with capital letter. This is the recommended naming convention, so that React knows how to make the difference between HTML, XML tags that we have existing from the underlying HTML syntax, and then the React part, which is where we create dynamic components. Okay, I'm gonna run this code. And as you can see, we have all these components here. I'm just gonna do a small change. I'm just gonna add some styling to our function, app function that we'll have in here. So margin. Okay, and I'm gonna center the text. Okay, there we go. Hope you can remember what we've done here. So what I'm gonna attempt next is I'll create modules for each of these components. because ideally we don't want all the code in one place. So the way I structure my app normally is I create a folder inside the source directory, which will be called components. And inside this components directory, I'll create a file for each of the components that we created in app.js file. So I'll have a functional component, and I'm just gonna copy paste code. Okay, I still need to import React because if you can see here, there's a red squiggly line, meaning that it doesn't understand our syntax. I will have. It's very important that whenever you're creating modules, you export the components that you're creating from inside. Export default will make it possible so that when we importing this module in another part of the application, you will get the default component that you're exporting. Okay, I'm gonna create another file, which will be for the class component. Need to import React again. I'm just gonna write it with capital letter. Okay, and paste the code. And then again, I'm gonna export default class component. You can also do something else. You don't need to add it on a new line. So with class component, you can do export default from here, and you can remove this bit from here. Okay. And I'm gonna create a third component, which is the arrow functional component. Okay, and I'm gonna just copy this code from here and go inside the arrow functional component, and I will export this as well. With the functional components, you cannot do the same as you would with the class components. So you cannot write export default from here. You cannot do this because it will appear as an error. As you can see, there's a red squiggly line under the keyword const. So I'm just gonna remove export default, and I'm gonna go back to normal. Okay, so we're gonna go back inside app.js file. So now I'm gonna go ahead and import all the modules that we just created. I'll start importing a class component first. Also, if you don't get suggestions like I do right here, it's because you might be missing the extensions that I installed. And for path finding, there's an extension called Path Intelligence, which helps you out. So basically, it's the first suggestion that you get. Okay, I'm gonna go back here, components, class component. Just gonna import the other two as well, arrow functional component and functional component. And I'm just gonna do Control S, and I'm gonna go and check the browser now. And as you can see, it's the same output. Also, before I end this video, I just want to remind you that you can download the full code. So everything that I've written during this tutorial can be downloaded from my GitHub. There should be a link available in the video description so that you can download the full code in case you don't want to go through all the process of writing code. I hope you found this video useful, and thanks for watching.